Let's go live with Jack Kelly. Welcome to the one-of-a-kind LinkedIn live show that will help you with your job search and advancing your career. We will bring in educated career experts who will share their insights and give you inside tips on how to be successful in your job search. Now let's get into today's show with your host, Jack Kelly.
Meeting is now streaming live. Okay, I think we're good. I'm just going to keep an eye out for the folk I don't mean to be rude. So like mission control back in the home office, we'll just make sure that we're good. Let me just see if they tell we're good.
Sure.
This makes some great entertainment for people, huh?
Yeah, I bet. with my lives, I always show up and I'm like, because I'm staring at the screen. That's like the first shot everyone gets.
like really close to make sure it's okay.
Yeah, is it on? Is it working? Anyone in there? Yeah.
Yeah. So Kamara, now you got me all mixed up. Toffolo.
Yeah, just call me Kamara. It's all good. Yeah.
Now, do you get a lot of Kamala lately?
More so in autocorrect in messages and email and text, but not verbally. I got it more before, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah.
So, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Kamara, not Kamala. Kamara is a resume guru, LinkedIn guru, career advisor, Canadian, withstanding sub-degree weather to be on the show today. So this is awesome. And today, Kamara's going to give some really great advice, career advice, job search advice, how to get through the job fatigue, how to market yourself on LinkedIn, and all sorts of other good stuff. And maybe on later too, we'll talk about her YouTube channel, which is awesome and great and hilarious and fun. So that's something you definitely got to check out. So just to jump into it, maybe you could tell a little bit more about yourself and what you do to everybody.
Sure, happy to. So my name is Kamara Toffolo. I'm a resume writer, LinkedIn consultant, and job search strategist. I help established professionals dare to do work differently and land great fitting gigs. My clients tend to be senior leaders to C-suite and board, but I work with people and professionals at all different career levels. And so my kind of mission, I guess, is, aside from getting people jobs, is to really kind of demystify the job search. There's a lot of things going on that are creating fear in job seekers' minds. So I want to put minds at ease, bring people back to what they can control, and get their job search on track.
So that's great. Two things just jump out at me. When you say dare to be different, that sounds really cool. What do you mean by that?
Sorry.
Yeah, is there kind of a strategy for that, or?
Really the daring to be different part is to really, differentiate yourself by really embracing what is different about your own career and what is unique about your own career stories, and also to really kind of dispose of the old kind of resume playbook that a lot of us are using that ultimately creates resumes that don't do our work justice. So that's really what I mean.
So it's kind of really just try to stand out, set yourself apart as an individual. That'll make you stand out from the crowd, especially in a job market like this, that's kind of rough and there's a lot of people looking for work. And when you say the resume, it sounds like I'm not sure where, how has it changed? It sounds like what you're saying, it's kind of a little different now. You can't have your grandfather's resume or your father's resume. Is that kind of what you mean?
Well, that's for sure.
Okay.
Unfortunately, especially with the more established professionals where I specialize, I oftentimes see them taking resumes that they created in university and kind of just like, okay, I'm going to update it, which is good. But then you've got this kind of structure for a resume that should be for someone with 5 years work experience when they actually have 25. So just really bringing people kind of into the 21st century in terms of resume writing, resume creation, resume structure. And definitely, exactly as you're saying, not your father's or not your mother's resume.
Is it, I'll see online all the time. I'll say, hey, this is a new style. And they're like all sorts of boxes and tables and colors. And I'm like, is it really? Like, is that so has it changed or is it, you really have the set resume? It's just like you're saying, don't just kind of build on that foundation and not improve upon it and grow upon it?
Yeah, I think there is a shift in what you've noticed,
Yeah.
especially those resumes. I don't recommend typically because they are difficult to read. And
Yeah.
when we're writing our resume, we want to write it for the human reader, and so they're difficult to read. They look like they're trying to hide something by being fancy.
I never thought of it that way. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I
and
d-
sorry.
no, I love, you know what? That didn't occur to me. So when you say, okay, if you have all these cool things that you're looking at, you're forgetting like, all right, what does this person actually do? Because it's all this interesting colors and
Yep.
that's evil genius. That's really, I didn't realize that, but okay.
It
So,
does give a bit of a junior feel. Like we want to
yeah,
know kind of what's under the hood, not really like,
right,
is it red?
right,
We don't really care about that, right?
right.
And so, yeah, and also I want people to move away from, and this is not a new concept, but I really want job seekers to move away from writing their resume from a place of this is what I was responsible for to a place of these are the results that I achieved. Because that's the best way for us to show that we're qualified, is to show that we've done the work and achieved actual accomplishments.
That is a big difference. It's subtle, but a big difference, right? Because I would think most people do like, okay, I do X, I do Y, I do Z, and a laundry list. But what you're suggesting is a little different. Like, hey, here's what I achieved instead of like my to-do list.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I do this, I do this, I do this. And
Huh.
then it's like, okay, and so that's where the results come in.
That's interesting.
So you did it, but what
Yeah.
did you accomplish? What was the outcome?
So what do you do for somebody who maybe, if you're, let's say, a salesperson, you could
Mhm.
say, hey, I had a quota, I beat my quota by this, I brought in 10 new clients. Um, I'll recruit for something called compliance people. These are the
Mhm.
folks on Wall Street who are trying to make it safe. But a lot of times it's hard to measure that. You know what
Mm,
I mean? Because it's not, you're not making sales, you're not trading stocks.
right.
So for people who, let's say, are in that category, how do you then, what would you say? Like, what would be the stuff that they
That's
could,
a great question,
yeah,
great point. Because you're right, there are a lot of professions where it is challenging to
yeah.
quantify. My background before I got into resume writing was actually in the financial services
Oh,
and
cool.
fintech space. So I'm very familiar with compliance.
All right.
And so if we're using that specific example, yeah, we're probably not going to quantify something like a salesperson did, but we might be able to measure risk mitigation. We can talk about ways that we may have caught a potential compliance issue and had it resolved before it became a big explosive problem. And there's just a variety of different ways. When we don't have the numbers to back up the accomplishments, we just want to focus on the impact or the outcome, and the ultimate impact or outcome. Who did it benefit? What did it change? How did it save someone or everyone a headache?
That makes sense. So you have to really be thoughtful of, okay, if I can't quantify it by numbers, what else? And that could be results. So let's say in compliance, as you're familiar, maybe they had an SEC review and they came out with flying colors. That's great. That's a victory. That means, you did your job, that there were no problems, no issues, no citations and things like that, which instead of saying I did surveillance and examinations, I led an examination from the SEC and passed with flying colors because I instituted this, the other thing. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. And if there's some way that you were proactive in getting ready for that SEC audit or investigation, that's something that you can highlight as well. If you kind of readjusted or recalibrated the process that had always been used in order to make it more efficient or have everything you needed for the SEC before they came in, that's a great highlight.
now, would you say, would you do that through kind of telling a story, like a narrative, as opposed to bullet points? Or that's kind of a cover letter thing or a summary
Um,
thing?
you could definitely note it on your cover letter, but I would actually use a bullet point if you were creating a process or
Mhm.
optimizing a process, or if the major win was that you passed the SEC audit or investigation with flying colors, and perhaps prior to it wasn't as good. That would be a great accomplishment, and then highlighting what you did to make sure that the SEC audit went as well as it did. That would be a good bullet point. I consider that an accomplishment.
So what did you do in fintech? You seem to know the space really well.
Well, I started in mutual funds, then went into life insurance, then went into fintech. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, all over the place. But yeah, I worked for a very large American company with operations in Canada. And yeah, I worked directly with my clients were traders. So,
Oh, that's what those are interesting people to deal with. Like these are the people on the trading desk, like the hardcore
yes,
traders.
yes, yep, yep,
And
you got it.
what did you have to do with them?
So I was, my product that I was overseeing was the trading platform. And so I basically had to pick up the phone when they were screaming because there was some sort of issue with it. That was my job.
Oh my God. So in other words, I'm on the trading desk, right? I'm trading, let's say I'm trading equities and something's not working and I got to get this trade off. And they call you and like, come on, what's wrong? Why is this not working?
Yeah,
Oh.
most of them were great. Most of them were great. It was only the odd few that would be freaking out. But I get it because it's high stakes.
Yeah, because if you're trying to get a trade off and you can't do it.
Yep.
Like, look what happened to Robinhood. Like, what was it, 2 weeks ago, where they weren't letting trades go through and people went ballistic and they're, having lawsuits because they were prohibited from trading. So there are serious ramifications. So that's a tough job. I can tell you that was a tough job.
It was tough. It's good. It's good training though for anything else.
but you know what? Are the traders nicer there because it's Canada and that Canada has a reputation for being nicer?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah. So they're saying whether Canada or US doesn't matter.
I would think the same. Yeah. I don't think so.
I think you give us too much credit here. I think, especially like in the New York area, we're just horrible people.
Oh no.
I'm telling you, for the most part.
Not at all. No, I have to say that most of my traders were really good to me. It was just the odd one who just maybe didn't like me or whatever. So
how's that possible? Come on.
Oh, it's possible.
I find that so hard to believe.
Oh, you're too kind.
So to go back to like when you're saying demystify, what do you mean by that?
So the hot topic right now is the applicant tracking system.
Okay.
The ATS. You know a lot about that, and it's there's just a lot of talk about robots beating the bots. Getting past the ATS. Like it's something that you have to game in order to actually have human eyeballs on your resume. But that's just simply not the case. As I'm sure you know from your work, most recruiters are reading the resumes. So all the recruiters I know are reading resumes, tons of resumes every single day. And any rejections that are coming are from are initiated by a human, not an automated robot, so to speak.
Yeah. Why do you think that happened? Because I know exactly where you're coming from. There seemed to be this feel that came out of nowhere, or maybe came from whatever, I'm not sure. But these evil robots, and they're standing in the way. If it wasn't for those, ATS robots, I could get through. Like, where did that come from?
There's been a couple of my colleagues have done like really in-depth analyses of this and tried to track it all the way back to the beginning of time. So there's some really good articles out there, which I have actually linked to in one of my recent videos about, I can't remember which video, it had to do with why you're not getting interviews. Mm-hmm. So I linked to a couple of really good resources in that video. But I think it started with a marketing post, which just kind of took off because like people could glom onto it like, oh yeah, this is mysterious. It's something that I can blame outside of myself for something that feels so out of control. So I think that's what it did, and it created a life of its own. And unfortunately, people continue to use this as a marketing tactic.
Yeah, because when you think about it, let's say you're a Google or you're a JP Morgan, like a huge Fortune 500 company. Mm-hmm. They must get hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes a day. And it's just impossible for a human being to look at each and every one of them. It's just not practical. So that,
they have big recruiting teams, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard, and they do have to prioritize it. But one of my good friends is a recruiter at Amazon, and I know she's got her eyes on resumes constantly.
No, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't clear. But what I mean by that is, of course, you do need some sort of technology to filter it through, because, if it's just coming in, like when I first started recruiting, don't scoff at this. We get faxes. Like on Monday morning, I come into the office, and Sunday in the New York Times, you put the jobs in, the little classified ads, and I race in. I want to make, and then sometimes you come in and it overflowed, and then the fax papers all over the floor, and you have to put them together. But fast forward to the ATS, I mean, there's just so many resumes. There has to be some kind of technology to keep it in control, because otherwise, I don't see how like one or even an army of people could do it.
Well, it's my understanding that the ATS is really there to help workflow. And correct me if I'm wrong, but to really project manage all of the applications through the hiring process or qualifying process. And so, but recruiters are great at reviewing resumes fast, right? So that's why I think it's a manageable task, although it may feel unmanageable at times, certainly with high volumes of applicants. But recruiters are really good at sizing someone up really fast on their resume and getting on to the next one to make that same assessment. So I think it's feasible, but yes, the software is there to support.
Yeah. And I think you're referring to Amy Miller, right? Who is very, for some reason, it seems like she's constantly battling people who are angry about the ATS systems, fighting this war. And it's because people, I guess, people really just feel like if it wasn't for those darn robots, I would get this job.
Yes, she's working very hard to demystify the ATS, and I'm doing what I can and being inspired by her.
Well, she's fantastic. She's brilliant.
Awesome.
She's amazing.
She's incredible.
She's an awesome person. And what other kind of things do you feel are, you say demystify, like what are the things out there that job seekers have this misconception, or they don't know, or maybe they think of something and they think it's this way, but you're like, nah, it really doesn't go this way. Are there other things that you bump into?
Absolutely. So the whole notion of I want to keep my options open is kind of like the kiss of death to a job search. So the reason being is when we are striving so hard to keep our options open and write a resume that's almost catch-all, we are not speaking to anyone. Like when we don't identify the audience to which we want to write and have reading our resume, we are not connecting with the reader at all. And so keeping your options open will actually lead to an ineffective job search. So nailing down career clarity before you do anything in your job search is critical. Like it's a non-negotiable. It has to happen.
So you get a lot of people come into you and they'll want to be this more generalist kind of person. And then you'll say, wait, no, you have to kind of refine it. And it sounds like they give you pushback. No, because I want to keep my options open and see.
Yep. Yeah. They're like, I don't want to pigeonhole myself. I'm open to, customer service, help desk, customer success, relationship manager, account manager. And software developer. Well, how are you going to write one resume for all of that? You gotta be clear on what you want. You may find yourself in a multi-resume situation, but that is, to me, that's still symptomatic that you haven't done the pre-work of identifying what it is that you're going after.
All right. I'm with you 100%, but can we talk about something that possibly could get a lot of hate, particularly maybe throw it in my direction though? Is that all right?
Well, we don't want that. We don't want hate.
Yeah, whatever. I'll take it. So, because here's what I find as a recruiter. Now, to be fair, as a recruiter, you're kind of a little different because the company is paying you or your company a fee to find a person, and they have high expectations. So this wouldn't be for everybody because going through a recruiter. But I find when I'm tasked to recruit for someone. So let's say they say, hey, we want to find Jack. You have to find a great resume writer, career advisor, LinkedIn advisor in Canada, in Ottawa, and I'm going to look to find that exact person, right? So I'm going to look and I'm going to search and I'm going to find you. And you're not everything. This is, you know what I mean? You do resume writing, you do LinkedIn, let's say, and career advisory, boom, boom, boom. That's it. But if you had on your profile, then I also do this and I also do that, I do this, I'm going to pass because it's like, I know they're going to, what the company's going to say to me, Jack, what are you doing? We told you what we want. And what I find so frustrating at times because people often do feel, and maybe it's because that's how it was in years past, where it was okay to be a generalist. I find out now, for the most part, you have to be a specialist. And being a generalist, nothing happens. And then it leads to frustration on everyone's side. Do you see that? Does that happen
Yeah,
with?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I I think it's okay to have more of a generalist professional profile within a specialty.
Right,
So
right.
like a project manager, I think could very much be a generalist in many ways. But yeah, you need to have that role nailed down. The functions of that role identified, what you want to be doing in an actual job. And to your point, if you say
Yeah.
you're a jack of all trades, that's going to get confusing. Like it will call into question, how qualified are you?
Yeah. Do you
And
find
that's
this
what we
out?
don't want.
Yeah. Do you find this out too? So sometimes when people have this generalist background, and some people do, particularly I'll say older people, because what, for instance, I've been recruiting over 20 years. And when I started, a lot of times the jobs would be more general, you know, they want someone to do a little bit of this and that. But as
Right.
time progressed, they just want this exact thing. So you have some of these folks who are like, hey, I have so much experience, and they'll pick a job and say, I could do it. And then I'm in this awkward spot, like, well, no, they want someone who does exactly, you know, ABC, and you're doing like 1, 2, 3 frog, and this is just, you know, here. And then they get angry, like, what, you know, what are you talking about? And they list off all their accomplishments, but it's not in that space. And then you're like, oh my God, like, I don't want to be that guy to say, nope, you can't do it, because then I'm the bad guy and I'll be lambasted. But at the same time, I don't want to encourage them, because I know it's so hard to be a generalist, and then, okay, they're going to take you when they know they want something specific. Like, what do you, and maybe this could help me to talk to folks in a nice way. Like, what do you say to people like that to help them understand what the market is like now? You know what I mean? To demystify it in a sense, like, here's the reality.
Right. So I see that a lot.
Do
And
you? Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
the reality could be that they can do the job.
Yes.
But you have it's your job as the job seeker to communicate how you're qualified. If you're like applying for, let's say, an operations manager role, and you're putting forth like a sales resume, what the heck, you haven't done your job
Right.
by
Right.
showing that you're qualified to do the manager of operations role. And yeah, like I said, you very well may be qualified, but it's your job to show that you are. So in that case, it depends on how much time you want to invest with them in that situation.
Yeah.
But it's like, your resume does not show you're qualified. Tell me how you're qualified. This is a sales resume. Tell me when you've managed operations of this size.
So what you're saying, that for some people, they say, okay, you have this wealth of experience in different areas, and we know that the job is looking for something special, to tease out some of the elements of what the job requires and be able to kind of position it to answer it. So even though you didn't do the exact thing, to find the points of what you've done. And then I guess that's part of your pitch then, to be able to articulate, hey, even though I didn't do customer service or whatever, because I was in sales, here's why I would be good for it. And I guess if they could really tell that story, you could cross over.
For sure.
So that, yeah,
Absolutely. If you can tell the story, and you've done the actual work, then it should be an easy story to tell. The solution here also might be for someone who is kind of a multi-potentialite. The solution might be to have a bit of a master resume, which is just like a dump of all of the great things that they've done throughout their career, without, like, they don't even have to, like, it doesn't have to be targeted, but it could be categorized so that when they are applying for that manager operations role, they pull out the operations accomplishments and put them into the resume they're actually going to use. So I don't use master resumes, but I use I recommend to track work wins on an ongoing basis. But it's super important that what you've done, you need to frame it in such a way that it is clear to the reader, that it reinforces the strengths that they're looking for.
I put it on mute for a second because you probably hear the dogs in the background.
Yeah, that's fine. The joys of working from home. Yeah.
I have 2 Shelties, so when the doorbell rings, oh my God.
Oh, I bet.
Wait, let's see. Okay. So do you recommend having your core resume, but then for each job, like tailoring it?
I do recommend tailoring your resume for each application. If you have done a really good job of identifying your target role, let's say it is, I'm going to keep using manager of operations. So manager of operations, and you're very clear on that and where the operations would be that you would be managing, and you've clearly identified your target employers, then the adjustments you're making to that core resume will be not a ton. It should, because the stories you're telling should be resonating across most of the jobs to which you're applying, because you've identified that target job. That target job really makes your job with resume writing way easier. And so I do recommend some adjustments, especially with the skills that you're mentioning, and how you're backing up those skills with accomplishments, making sure that you're aligning with what they're looking for and the basic qualifications of the job.
Do you feel, are you better off doing the resumes, applications, or trying to kind of network and find the right people at the right company and get in there, or a combination of both? Do you have a thought on that?
Combination of both, for sure.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, for sure. So my concern is that that job seekers will stop applying online because they figured networking will cover everything off. But as we all know, you need to apply online if the job is posted online in order to kind of get the ball rolling. A file needs to be started on you, so to speak, and it's part of the process. And there's a lot of reasons behind the scenes that require you to adhere to that process. So applying online, and then if you do find someone who is already on the inside at that company, you can mention to them that you actually applied for the job in your networking message. And so they don't have to spend time saying, well, go apply for the job and then get back to me.
Yeah.
You've already covered that off.
I mean, how do you go about it? Like, do you suggest maybe just hit somebody up on LinkedIn, or do you find somebody you know who could put in a good word, or you just try everything?
Definitely an introduction from someone else would be more powerful, but by all means, cold email people, cold message people who are already on the inside. But be very clear and do your research on the people to whom you are actually reaching out, and and make sure, I should say, that the messages that you're sending are highly specific. I can't tell you the number of messages I get on a daily basis where people are like, hi, sir, I'm looking for job in blah, 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 blah. Please find me a job. And I don't have any jobs. I'm not a recruiter. And also, sir, maybe check a little bit further.
Hey, random stranger who has nothing to do with this job I'm looking for. Yeah. You're in the accounting department. Can you now go into like whatever department and get my resume in front of them?
Yep. So it's really, do your research, be targeted, and remember there's a human on the other side. This is not a transaction.
Yeah.
This is about relationship building.
Yeah. So just to jump ahead. So I've been looking at your YouTube channel. It's awesome. So we want to talk about like what you do and what your goal is with it, and what are cool things that are happening with it, and what are some dealing with, just random people who are hitting you up, like with messages? What's it like?
Yeah. So with the YouTube channel, I'm basically just trying to help as many people as I can by making videos about important job search topics. And so I post new videos every Tuesday, and I go live every Thursday. You'll be joining me next Thursday on Office Hours Live. And yeah,
It's gonna be
I'm
awesome. It's
excited.
gonna be the best one. That's it.
I
You
agree.
get
And so that's 8 p.m. every Thursday Eastern. And yeah, it's been interesting. Mostly people are very thankful for the information that's being shared, which is great to see, because that's the whole point, is to help. And then there's the occasional commenter who will use it as a space to vent. Typically, they're not venting about me, which is nice, but venting about the job search process, let's say.
And what do you do? Do you engage with them, where you just kind of ignore it and move on? What's your strategy?
Sometimes I do, if I
Yeah.
feel like I can add something to the conversation. Sometimes I'll ask them to tell me more.
Yeah.
If again, if I feel I can help, but oftentimes I don't engage. And on like we were talking about before this, on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
I'm cleaning up a lot of comments on my content these days.
Wait, when you say cleaning up, what does that mean? Just deleting it, or
Yeah.
what's? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, deleting it. There's just so many oddball comments on some of my content lately that I just like, I don't even know what to say.
It's interesting
even
you
if I
say
wanted
that.
to.
When you say oddball, you mean like really just they're non sequiturs, right? Like it has nothing to do with what you're saying, and it's just
Yep.
and like how does this?
Yeah. Like, I'm all for debate. If you
Yeah.
want to come in and say, no, I disagree with
Yeah.
what you're saying, please do, but keep it on topic, you know?
Because I see that too, and I just don't understand it. Like I'll say, it's snowing out. Like I'm looking out the window. Okay,
Yeah.
it's snowing and there's snow piles, and then someone will say, I don't know, like, hey, it's Wednesday. Like,
Yeah.
all right, what does that have?
Yeah, exactly. It has nothing to do with anything.
How
Yeah.
how am I supposed to answer it? Like,
Yeah.
where's that coming from?
Yes, that happens a lot. So,
Yeah.
or as I was mentioning to you, and you
Yeah.
saw on Twitter, people using my content for their marketing. So that's fun.
So like you're out there saying, hey, here's my great video, and then someone will be like, no, mine's better.
Not even
Check out
that.
mine.
Not even mine's better.
Yeah.
But like here's a video that I made on supply chain, and it's like,
or buy Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, yeah. Oh, Bitcoin, yeah. That's
yeah. That's another. It really is weird with social media how you do that. Like you try to help and engage with people, but then you get these random stuff that it's like, why are you doing this? It's just wasting everyone's time. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. It is entertaining though. I do have to say it gives me a good laugh.
Well, the good thing is, like, speaking of entertaining, I can see with your YouTube, you're trying to be entertaining, where oftentimes career advice could be, kind of at times kind of boring if you don't find a way to jazz it up. And so it seems like you're trying on your channel to really inject a little levity, a little fun, a little, excitement and all that kind of stuff, which is cool.
Trying to. Thank you.
And it attracts all kinds of people, I believe, right?
Yeah,
all ages
it's all ages. It's really interesting to look at my analytics and see where people are tuning in from. I would say, I think my largest viewership base is in the States, followed by India, I think, and then Canada. So it's really interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. And did you have like a demographic?
Yeah. So even though my clients tend to be more towards age 45 plus, my demographic on YouTube in terms of audience is 18 to 24.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
And we talked a little bit before, like I could see that where for young people, it's really tough. You're either, if you're getting right out of school, like if you got out of school, last year, that's not so great. If you're getting out this year, it's still going to be a little rough. And I don't know how long it's going to take. And then even if you've been around for a while, it's kind of, so I could see them searching to get ideas and thoughts. And
Mm-hmm.
even if they have a job, just to be prepared, just in case they get tapped on the shoulder. So it does. I could see that. And I find out with the, I'm more in tune now because both my kids are in college,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always, during the summers, I would always bring in interns. We pay them and they stay for the summer and do it. And you could tell there's no career coaching from these schools. Like,
Mm.
like they come in for an interview, Kamara, and I'm telling you, it's cringy. It's they can't make eye contact. They can't hold a conversation. They can't articulate what they did. And I'm thinking, you're going to this school that's charging you or your parents 50 grand a year, and they can't at least give you at least a class on how to do it. So it does make sense why you're getting that, because they're not getting it a lot of other places. So
Yeah, it's very tough out there for the young folks.
yeah,
Like we were talking about before, like I can't imagine coming out of school now.
yeah,
It's hard. And yeah, there's a lot of conflicting advice, non-advice, like
yeah.
so yeah.
And speaking of being hard, like I find from recruiting, you have these people, because my area for like 10 years plus straight, it was like a hockey stick growth chart up,
Mm-hmm.
because there's tons of scandals, tons of just stuff going on, so that you constantly have more regulation, more need. And then this is not politics, just what it is. Under Trump, that he wasn't a fan of regulation, and these banks, which I primarily focus on, they're not dumb, so they kind of realize with like a wink and a nod, we could hold off, we don't have to hire as much,
Mm.
and they did it. And so what happens? You have a lot of these people now who are earning, two, 300,000 more, who are in between jobs, and it's never happened. And I'm sure you speak to people like this too. They'll say, "Hey, I've been working since high school and never stopped. Now I can." And it's frightening. They don't know what to do. They're frustrated, and I'd be curious, because sometimes I have a hard time. I don't know what to say. I'll be
Mm.
really frank, because like, it's not, you can't just say, "Oh, walk it off," or "Don't worry about it." I mean, these are really serious issues.
Yeah.
Do you encounter that? And if you do, like, do you have advice for people, not just the folks that I described, but just in general, who either, and this is another thing, long-term unemployment. I didn't realize how bad it is
Mm-hmm.
in the jobs report, that the numbers are staggering of long-term, like 27 weeks or longer. So you have these people who desperately need jobs. Like, what would you say to them to keep the morale up, to keep confident, not to lose
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem? Do you have any go-to things or ideas you could share with people?
Yeah, well, first I want to acknowledge, yeah, it's tough. Job searching is hard. In my short career in the job search space, I've never seen it be this hard.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge that there's no one's sugarcoating this. It sucks right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Is that a professional career coaching term? It sucks.
yes,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
sucks. So I just want to acknowledge that
Yes.
and not gloss over that. But so I can't say that I have anything super inspiring to
Yeah.
offer most job seekers, but what I want to remind them of is to focus on controlling what they can control. So you can't control if a recruiter reaches back to you. You can't control if you get an offer. You can't control, how long an offer might take or a decision might take. You can't control a lot of stuff, but what you can control is also quite a bit. Your resume, the stories that you share on your resume, making sure they're targeted and focused and showing that you're qualified. Also, having a LinkedIn profile and making sure it's full, complete, and telling the right stories as well. Engaging on LinkedIn, engaging in an on-brand way, and networking actively. There's a lot you can do. It's a lot of stuff, which can easily fill your time. And so the other stuff that's out of your control, I know it's hard to not fixate on it. But it's just not something you can influence necessarily. So focus on
Yeah.
what you can.
What would you say for people LinkedIn? Because I do notice that a lot of folks who are in between roles,
Mm-hmm.
they don't, or from what I see, they could probably do a much better, effective job in marketing themselves online. Now, I don't know if it's because maybe they've been looking for so long, they just say, forget it, it's not working. But what would you suggest for people how to get noticed, what to do? Even if you're kind of a little shy or introverted, and you don't feel comfortable to do that, but
Yep.
just to get your brand out there.
Sure. So, well, first of all, you got to start with a good base, and that's a strong resume.
Okay.
And that resume needs to come across as human. An easy way to come across as human is to write it in first person.
Yeah.
And to make sure that you are highlighting how you're qualified for your target job.
Would
Again,
you want me to interrupt? Would you put the resume on the LinkedIn as well? Because they have that.
I would not.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would not. The reason for that is largely to protect your own information.
Okay.
So we don't, and also one thing with the resume is we don't want or I'm sorry, with the LinkedIn is we don't want to divulge any confidential information. So some of the accomplishments that we may have shared on our resume might be confidential information as far as our previous employers.
Okay, that's
concerned.
a really good point.
So don't share that stuff. Share it in a way that you're not divulging confidential information. So, and yeah, we don't want to also expose our resume to also possible plagiarism, because that happens as well. So leave your resume off of the public platform that is LinkedIn. So we've got that. So we start with a good base, strong LinkedIn profile, like a strong skills section as well. That's one area I notice a lot of people overlook, is their skills section for some reason. So that's important. And
you say skills section, well, like what would that be? Like what would you put on there?
So the LinkedIn skills section, unless it's changed recently, there's 50 spots for skills that you can list on LinkedIn. So with that, I want people to actively audit that list, audit their own list, to make sure that they're listing skills that, first of all, they actually have, and that are relevant towards their target direction. And there's a way to move skills around as well. I have a video on my YouTube channel about it, where you can give your most important skills the best skill section real estate, let's say, on your profile, because there's the top 3 skills that are the most highlighted in the skills section. And so those are sometimes referred to as like pinned skills. And so being very conscious of what you're highlighting there is important. And then in terms of using LinkedIn best practices, I would say warm up. Like don't just go all in if it feels awkward or challenging, but warm up by simply engaging with other people's content. And by engaging, I don't mean necessarily just reacting with a like, but actually adding a thoughtful comment, because comments are considered high value interactions as far as LinkedIn is concerned. And so that will help increase your visibility with little kind of time investment and little being out there kind of effort, if that makes sense.
It does. Would you also suggest to people, let's say you're, I don't know, a tax accountant, to maybe then write maybe a little longer, instead of a comment, maybe you put something on yourself, hey, for, you know, let's say, I don't know if this is out there now, let's say there's a new tax rule for whatever, to say, hey, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, this is this new rule you should know about, and should position you as kind of a thought leader in that space.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people to stress out about being thought leaders. It's about and I can't claim credit for this, but one of my colleagues, and I can't remember who it was, said we want a paper trail of your expertise. So basically, for sure you can comment with things like that, but going back to what we were talking about earlier in this show, is that of course it needs to be on brand. So we don't want someone talking about one tax regulation, like maybe a sales tax regulation, then all of a sudden someone comes in with like an income tax regulation, like, oh, did you know? So we want to keep it on point, keep the conversation going, make sure it's thoughtful and meaningful when we're commenting. But to that point about a new regulation, let's say, coming out, where you do want to share your knowledge and ideas about it, that's where you could actually write a LinkedIn publisher post. If you don't, if you feel comfortable, of course. It depends on how comfortable someone is with that. But by all means, there's other ways to feature that on LinkedIn, feature that knowledge.
What about telling your story? A while back, I don't know if people still do it, but I remember there's a time where people give their job search story. They kind of walk through, hey, here's, what I'm doing. Here's what happened. Here's a win. Here's a loss. Do you recommend people doing that so it makes them human, or that's not really helpful?
Maybe once they have a job.
Okay. While they're doing it, it's not good. It's not a good look.
I'm not sure I would do that. I think what would be more powerful if you want to seem human and share a story would be if you had a success story behind one of your accomplishments, let's say. So like if we use the let's say compliance person as an example, let's say one of their accomplishments was a great SEC audit. I wouldn't name the company for whom they worked, but great SEC audit, and then they could talk about like the steps that got them there. I think that would be a great post, because that does two things. It establishes them as an expert in their field, and also it's putting content out there for visibility purposes. But I would probably avoid talking about my job search unless I have a job, and unless I have kind of success secrets to share after I've landed that job.
So that's interesting. After you land, to kind of say, hey, here's what worked, here's what didn't work, to pay it forward a little bit to people.
Yeah, to pay it forward for sure. I think that's fine. We always want, like, my position for LinkedIn content sharing or commenting is to always keep it on brand. So what is your area of expertise or specialty? Comment on that, on stuff related to that, or share content related to that. Like, my specialty is job search. So if I start commenting on like the GameStop stock price, that's going to be weird because it just doesn't work with my specialty, right? So like when the stock just skyrocketed because of Reddit, if I start talking about that doesn't really jive with my brand. So
you really
want to keep it on brand.
So I guess like the first thing they have to figure out, hey, what's my brand? How do I want to be perceived? And then from there, kind of build upon it and build a narrative and start small, liking somebody, but that really doesn't do much. But then maybe give a comment, more of a comment. Maybe if you feel more confident to write something, maybe even a long form article, whatever the case may be. But then, and have that paper trail, and we'll give you credit for it, because if you don't remember, we did it. So we'll trademark it for Kamara, so that have a paper trail. If I understand what you mean by that, is so that over time, people who notice you will say, oh yeah, that's Kamara. She always talks about resumes. She always talks about, LinkedIn and so on. And it makes people think of you. So if they need someone, then like, oh, okay, I know who to get in touch with. Because as a recruiter, I can tell you that works all the time. Because as a recruiter, without a doubt, Kamara, what you're saying resonates with me, because there'll be people who, if I see online, and they don't have to be over the top, but if they're just out there, doing whatever, and I get a search in that space, I'm going to like, oh yeah, I got to go get a hold of Jane. Yes. Okay. And because I've seen it, it's like made it, an impression in my mind. And it's just one of those things that pop up. I'm like, yeah, because, and just the opposite, out of sight, out of mind. So if you don't see them, you kind of forget.
Yes.
They fall off the radar and you don't know. And then, they may say, hey, Jack, how come you didn't call me for that job? And I'm thinking, oh my God, because I haven't seen, I just assumed you found another job, know?
Yeah.
You fell off. So I think, I could tell you from firsthand experience, it's such a big difference. It's such a big difference. And I wonder if you feel this way too. I think sometimes people feel that they could be annoying if they do things like that. But as a recruiter, I don't see it annoying. I think it's good because it just reminds me you're there. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, so little of our content actually rolls across someone's newsfeed. So I would not be worried about being annoying because, like, if you're posting multiple times a day, then that might get annoying. Oops. No, but
I post a lot.
If you're posting about the same thing multiple times a day, then that might be annoying. But the LinkedIn algorithm learns user behavior. So if people are ignoring it or not interacting with it, it's probably going to filter its way out.
the algo for me, it's like they don't do, because I'll talk about compliance. Then I wrote a lot about GameStop and Reddit traders and hedge fund and hedge fund. And then,
Did you really?
oh yeah, a lot about it. Check it out. See, but this is what you're talking about with the algorithms. This is to me what's so frustrating is that they dribble. This is not a scientific
Right.
explanation. You're going to know this better than I. But from my understanding, if you post something, they'll kind of dribble it out to some of your connections. And if they like it, then the next time you do it, they'll send it more to them and so on. But I got a feeling most people, and I thought this way, when you send something out there, it goes to everyone. If you're first degree, they should get it. And when I learned that wasn't the case, I was like, what? So that's why when people feel they're like might be annoying, because I think they feel if they send it out, everyone gets it.
Right.
But they don't.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. The thing that might get annoying is if you're constantly updating your LinkedIn profile and broadcasting it to your network, then that might get annoying. But no, yeah, that's exactly right. People aren't seeing everything that you're posting. Like today I posted a teaser video for my Tuesday YouTube video, and people didn't like it because it didn't get very far.
What do you mean? They didn't like,
it had very few so far. I haven't checked it. So far, it had very few interactions and very few views. So that tells me
like for some people, this is what it's hard to figure out, like why that is, right? So it's frustrating.
Yep, it's frustrating for sure.
Yeah, but there's really
I wish I had an answer
but there's no way around it, right?
Not really. Like we don't get to make our own rules, so we're playing in LinkedIn's space. So
but on the positive side, for people who are watching this, if you are worried, and tell me you correct me if I'm wrong here, Kamara, if you're worried about, hey, I don't want to post too much because I have, let's say, 500 connections and I'm talking about whatever and it's going out to 500, I'm going to kind of irritate them. The way it works, they're not going to necessarily, maybe you'll see 10, 20 might see it at first. Some, you don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
So you might as well do it and don't hold yourself back thinking that every 500 persons are going to see it every day and cringe, like stop already.
Don't worry about it. Just do it. And the great thing is, one of the features I love that LinkedIn built was the ability to see people's activity when you go on their profile. So I believe there's a way to hide this, but when you go to a person's profile, by default you can see their activity, where they liked something, where they posted something, where they commented on something, and so that is great for recruiters to see that you're actually active, and if they reach out that you'll actually respond. But also, that's where that paper trail can live too, showing your engagement with where you're an expert.
I just thought of it. Is this a little stalkerish if that you go to the activities of people? So let's say, you're back in the day when you were working at a fintech company and you're interested in going to one of the competitors, to go to the folks who might be the type of person who would be your boss there, go on their LinkedIn feed, look at their activity, get a sense of what they like, what they don't like. Then later on, you could comment already knowing how they think. Is that really weird, stalkerish kind of thing? Or is that actually a genius idea, how to ingratiate yourself with somebody you want to impress? What do you think of that?
It's stalker behavior that I fully endorse.
Okay.
It's genius.
Okay, I just thought of it on the fly. You made me think like, wait, that's like one of those like, what? All right, let me find out.
Yeah.
Okay, put yourself back in the day. You're a fintech. You're thinking, you have a bad experience with one of the traders yelling and screaming at you, and you're like, I want to do something else.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So then you look at others and you're like, okay, let me see. Because then also you could get a feel for the company, because maybe over there they have the same thing, and you realize, hey, there are a bunch of jerks over there too. So I don't want to go there.
Right. The grass isn't necessarily greener. There's so much kind of reconnaissance that you can do based on that. And I would recommend it, because then you can make sure that you have a very focused and targeted networking message when you do reach out to them.
Which is a networking too. Networking always has that cringy feel to it at times.
Yep.
When you say that, like, what do you recommend to your clients, how to network and what to do, whether it's on LinkedIn, off LinkedIn, in real life, what have you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I recommend starting in your own backyard, so to speak. So a lot of us have gone to school at schools that have very strong alumni networks. So, and I think that job seekers often overlook that alumni
They
network.
do. That's a good
Yeah,
idea. Yeah.
which is a huge, like easy icebreaker. Like, oh, you went to MIT. I went to MIT too.
Yeah.
I don't know why MIT.
Yeah.
So instant icebreaker. So there's that. Professional organizations or like accreditation organizations that you're a part of. Like you're a PMP, then tap the PMI network. There's so much that you already there are vast networks that you are already a part of. You just need to integrate yourself and actually leverage them. If you are networking with strangers, which I also recommend, by all means you can do that on LinkedIn, but the onus is on you to make sure that your message is targeted enough so that it makes the person want to read. So that's priority one, makes them want to read, and then makes them want to help you. And like you need to make your request very clear, like how you think that they could help you specifically, because we don't want to create any homework for someone we're actually hoping will help us, right?
Yeah.
So
No, it's true because if I get somebody who's like, "Hey, Jack, can you help me? I'm looking to," and they walk through what they're doing. It makes it easy because either A, I could help and know it, or B, maybe I know someone, or maybe C, it's just not in my wheelhouse. I can't do it. So I could actually give an intelligent response. But if they're just like, "Hey, can you help me? Or can I pick your brain?" I'm like, "Oh man."
yeah, that's a
Like, it's like, all right, what am I going to get myself into? So I don't
mhm.
know.
Yep.
But I like the alumni. And I imagine now more than ever, the folks there want to help out because they realize how tough it is for a lot of people, and
Oh
they
yeah.
just want to help. Um,
Yep.
it's like an hour went by so quickly. Were there anything I didn't ask you that you want to share with people and talk about?
No, I don't think so. We covered a lot of
A lot,
ground.
right?
Yeah,
That-
yeah. I don't. Nothing really. I think we covered it all. I guess just in parting, really just reminding job seekers to focus on what they can control, not what they can't control. Which I hope will bring some sanity to their job search.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think we covered everything that was on
yeah.
my mind.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that with the control. What's that thing? God give me the serenity to uh control what it's something I control what I
Yeah,
can, whatever.
yeah,
Can I tell you, I try to do that a lot because in recruiting, so much is out of your control. You can have the best candidate and then some jerk hiring manager doesn't like the person because I don't know the color of their tie. You're like, what
yeah,
the heck? So
yeah,
it's like you constantly have to kind of just refocus
yeah,
and not let it get to you. And it's hard, but you got to learn
yeah,
how not to let it get to you on the inside and
yeah.
stay strong because otherwise it could just wreck you. So that's an important part of the whole job. I think, in my opinion, one of the toughest parts of the job search right now is to have a very thick skin and don't
Mm,
take it personally because it's. I think what did I write about just the other day in Forbes was like I want to say 77, if not more, million Americans have filed for unemployment benefits
mm,
since the pandemic. Think about that enormity because we have what, like 330 million people in this country, but like
mm,
150 million working. So you're talking about 40-ish% of the population
mhm.
were out of work over the last year. That's just that's like
Mind-boggling.
Great Depression level. So
Mhm,
we're all going through this.
mhm.
And I find out what happens. I'm curious, if you feel this, a lot of people feel it's just them because they're at home, they're isolated,
Yeah,
you're cut off,
yeah,
and they feel bad. But then once they realize, okay, it's not just me, there are other really great people who are between you, it's a relief.
yep,
So I don't know how you feel about it, but I think that's one of
for
the
sure.
things that they really need is just to have that thick skin. Don't take it personally because it's happening all over the place. And it does seem like it's going to get better. It does seem with the vaccines coming out. It seems with, the stimulus packages here in the US. I don't know if they're doing that in Canada too, but it does seem like it's picking up.
I'm definitely hopeful.
Yeah.
And yes, I think it is picking up. And I'm kind of excited about how work is changing or how
Yes.
it has been changed. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about the remote work thing.
You know what? If you don't mind, just two last questions before I let you go. Given the remote work, I'm noticing here in the States, there, obviously most everyone's working remotely or working anywhere. But then when I get job orders, I'm like, oh, okay, so can they work remotely? No, we want them, to be able to work there. How is it in Canada? Is it the same, or they're more open now when they're hiring new people to let them start out working remotely, even stay remote?
Well, in the province where I am in Ontario, it's been in lockdown. We're now phasing back in. But yeah, so generally speaking, the job postings I'm seeing in Canada, as well, Ontario is, in being more specific, start remote. Yeah, you do see a lot of this position will start remotely, could stay remote, but there, it kind of leaves it open just in case they want to have the person come in person. But generally speaking, it's a lot more remote. Like the employers are equipped and ready to offer remote work, aside from essential workers, of course.
Do you recommend to your clients, if let's say they're in Ottawa, to say, hey, you know what, if there's a job in Montreal or Quebec or Saskatchewan, or that's all I know about Canada.
Saskatchewan, I'm impressed.
I pulled that out. I was trying to think of a third one. So would you recommend saying, hey, maybe try to send it to those places too? Because if they're open for remote work, then all of a sudden your net is wider. Is that, have you
yeah, by all means, they should be opening up their search while keeping focus on their target role, opening up their search geographically speaking, to see where else is hiring remote. Some of the postings, like I'm seeing employers get a little smarter with their postings, and they're basically posting it nationally, so it would just say Canada.
So what does that mean? Does that mean that they're open, or like, is that?
Well, yeah. So when you open it up, you see it's remote work.
Yeah.
Within Canada,
okay.
Because obviously, like there's like they can't necessarily open it up to the U.S. depending on can they take on a U.S. employee or not. So they just put Canada, which I think is good because
it's good. That shows that they're open-minded to it.
Yeah.
And I don't see that personally. I don't see that as much as I thought I would. I see some, but I thought it would be way more. So it's a little discouraging. That's why I was curious. All right. The last question is a selfish question. This is for me. Okay. Where do you stand on dads, like, trying to find opportunities for their kids? Is that like not cool, or is if you could pull it off, that's okay?
Like,
not me. I'm talking about other dads. Yeah.
Okay.
Not this dad, but other dads. Yes.
Can I ask for a little more info? Are the dads
hypothetically, if I
doing intros or?
Okay. So hypothetically, if I had a son who is majoring in data analytics and corporate finance, and I just saw somebody who a friend of mine who I'm doing a LinkedIn Live series about compliance with. He is friends with this person who is like a big shot who does all sorts of data analytics, whatever. And I'm like, should I maybe hit that person up and say, hi, this is Jack. Hey, could and try to bridge that gap? Is that weird? Is that too pushy? What do you think as a career expert?
I think that it's okay for you to open the door. And make the initial connection with, it sounds like this person is a second degree connection of yours. Okay. So connect with that person, get that established first.
The first person, and say, hey, you're friends with Kamara. Do you think it's okay if, you introduce me to her and I could see if she gets an internship?
As you know, little Billy is graduating with his degree in corporate finance and data analytics. And I'd love to connect them. So once you're introduced to that person by your first connection, then you introduce little Billy and your new connection, and let little Billy do his thing. But I don't, in my experience, when I've seen parents kind of let's say act as a proxy, it doesn't go over well. The child needs to be all in and committed and be able to properly navigate the job search themselves. So opening the door, good. Stick handling the whole thing, no way.
Yeah, not so good. It's interesting because I don't know if you do, but I'll get this from parents all the time who know what I do for a living to tell their kids to maybe contact, knowing that I don't like place them, but just figuring, and you have a young child, right? So I don't know if that's at the stage now, but they'll get a certain age. If you say something, that's dumb. But if I'll say it, if Uncle Jack says it, oh my God, that's great, Mom. You know what Uncle Jack said? He said this. And you're thinking, that's what I said. Why is it good what he did? And so like a lot of parents will say, hey, can you talk to my kid about this, the other thing?
I get you.
All the time, because I guess they're frustrated with that their kid is not really trying, they're not doing stuff. So they figure, hey, let somebody else talk to the person to do it. So
I get it. I get it. Yeah, that's tough. The kid needs to want to, the kid has to want it, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't mind those calls because usually the kids are pretty cool. Usually it's like the parents are really overbearing. So then they like talking to me because I'll just be very down to earth and let them know what's going on, and they appreciate it. And the odds are it's probably I'm saying the same thing that the parents are saying.
Oh, probably.
But, yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying, but the kid needs to manage their own job search.
All right, so this is not me. So I'll tell the other person, thank you for that information.
Got it. Okay. Asking for a friend. Yes.
Yes, asking for a friend. That's it. Well, Kamara, thank you so much. Oh, one last thing. You're so humble. So rumor has it you're a top LinkedIn voice, right?
Oh, yes. I am.
How great is that? That's congratulations. That's so awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you're so humble about it. I thought you'd come on the show wearing a crown saying that. Like LinkedIn top voice, and all that kind of stuff happening in your background.
I need one of those. One of those, a big banner in the background.
Right. Yes. Milk that, baby. I would do that. Put on a big thing right behind it, blazing light, blinking, saying how awesome you are.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll put one. I'll make one up for you next time when we go on the show.
Okay.
I'll put it behind me.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So hey, thank you so much. Seriously, I think you gave such great advice.
Thank you.
And it's so needed during this time period. It's so necessary. It's so important. And walking through people what to do with LinkedIn, how to market yourself, how to network. So it's so valuable. It's such great stuff, and I really appreciate it. And then this is something people could watch again because we'll upload it and clean it up a little bit. And where can they find you? Like, what's the best way for people to reach out?
Yeah, so they can find me everywhere. So Kamara Toffolo, so Kamara Toffolo on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram.
Excellent.
No Facebook.
No Facebook? How come no Facebook?
No.
Kind of toxic?
Yeah, I found it to be a toxic environment. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I can understand that. All right. Well, thank you so much. This is awesome. I really appreciate your time. This is great. And I'm also going to see you soon, right?
Yes.
I'm going to see you soon.
Next week.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks so much, Jack.
Thank you.
Care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of the WeCruiter podcast. If you want to check out other great content from WeCruiter, make sure to visit us at WeCruiter.io. That's WeCruiter.io. We offer tons of great resources for job seekers and professionals, so make sure to check us out today.